HGC started in 2017. Their matchup back-to-back, head-to-head history. Gen.G has 6 wins over Ballistix, and Ballistix only has 6, so that's +1. But if we talk about Eastern Clash only, the previous ones that Ballistix took back-to-back Eastern Clash, the second one last year, and the one this year, the early one. So they're winning, but the recent rise from the Korean matches only, Korean HGC, Gen.G has been winning 3-0, 3-1. So I think that's a pattern that we can actually see, which can actually carry over to today's game.
Yeah, very much could be the case of what we expect to come to light as we're getting things ready here. We've now got to set a bit of the focus over to the side of, as you see, your reigning world champions. Gen.G, Sake, one of the only members, the only man in the world who has won 2 world champions under 2 different roles.
He has shown to be the flexible hero, and when it started to come in last year, the double support, he was that one that could flex over. Has always been one of the best flex players. It used to be kind of Kyocha would have some weird flexibility, but you can see there's a lot of star power on this team. Dread, I remember you and I, when we sat down with Gen.G, their old roster from last year, Rich told us the best player in the world is not himself. It was indeed Reset. Well, you best believe Rich has a following.
Yeah, you can hear the crowd there cheering here for Rich, making a name for himself, obviously not only in the Western world, but into the Eastern. And so I've got to ask you, G-Club, being the guy commentating them, watching, keeping track of these series for so long, what is, and also being able to communicate with them, what is the special element, the X factor here for Gen.G that puts them what feels like on another caliber?
First of all, it's just synergy. They have been playing the game together ever since the Heroes of Storm launched in Korea, or even before some of the members, and they have been together for such a long time. And it is with the man that's not flashy, but he's always consistent. He doesn't really have the ups and downs. It is his Tist. He's always very solid in the front line. He's not really making some of the crazy, flashy moves that Hong Kong just made in the last game, which was crazy, but he's always up there, very stable, comfortable. So making that space for the DPS duo, Rich and Reset, to do everything they want to.
I think that's a great point that you bring up, because I feel like when Tis did move over to that roster originally, not everybody had the confidence in him, but he has very much shown that he is a name to keep track of here in HGC. And here we are onto the other side of the battlefield, a bit of a newer member of the roster there, over onto the support, Magi, making the transition here, and SDE. These guys are, again, much like I feel like when we look at Tist and Reset and the adjustments there for Gen.G, that both these players, Magi and SDE, were those elements and that kind of newer X factor, if you will, for Ballistix.
The thing that's different about these teams is the quiet confidence of the side of Ballistix versus sometimes the very outspoken confidence in-game. We can hear the communications on both sides. Ballistix, as you had mentioned yesterday, Dreadnought, was that they are working through some things with shot calling. They are more quiet, but it is definitely led by the front line of Hooligan. He's bringing up the hype right now. If there is one hype guy on this team, Hooligan has enough for about 3 members, so he's okay. But the real superstar of the team, that's right there, SC.
Yeah, very successful. Probably, you know, considered one of the best, if not the best Hanzo in the world. Rich might have something to say about that, you know, here and there. But this guy has been an outlier. Statistically, results for Ballistix has just been fantastic, again, since their formation. So now I want to take it here, not to the history. We know the power levels of these teams. We know that we're about to watch some of the best Heroes of the Storm that the world can provide right now. But I want to bring it to, what do we expect when it comes to strategy, battlegrounds, things like that? Do you have any, you know, kind of go-to thoughts and concerns for that, G-Club?
Well, there are way too many strategies in the battleground. I don't want to go in deeply yet, but for the drafting style, how they are different, Gen.G, of course, having coached the Noble less, he's very stable. He wants to maintain control and have balance in the wave clear, how they micro and macro at the same time, so they can't really go have an outliner with the draft. But when we talk about Ballistix, they're the first ones to actually bring some Lunara action, Illidan, and even still Vala with Zarya, which never comes out anymore in Korea. So they are actually willing to experience at the same time with some new picks, which can be their weakness at the same time. So they give some experience in there, in and out there sometimes, and that's going to be the X factor for Ballistix, which can be their strength against Gen.G today.
And I think that's a really cool point you bring up, is we often highlight a little bit of Noblesse. You know, we know that, you know, transfer over X-World Champion again with the Ballistic roster, it's a juicy drama, but it's not really drama in the end. It's just a showing the strength of Noblesse as a player. But then when we interviewed them and we asked some of the changes specifically on supports that kind of came in. Gen.G really didn't give us their own interpretation. It was very much Noblesse chooses what we play, and we're going to play that. It wasn't like, what is my opinion? It is for the greater good, and just showing how much confidence they instill in him as a coach here. But Battlegrounds are coming through. Bans from Gen.G going on the Cursed Hollow. Ballistix wanted rid of Volskaya, and we get ourselves the Korean Classic here, kicking it off with Sky Temple.
This brings up so many different dynamics. The Abathur, we're up here just trying to dissect everything of like what could possibly come out between these teams before the cameras roll. We'll continue to do that, but it's always fun when we look at these two teams and try and figure out what could they possibly be playing. We know the Abathur Samuro, which has shown up across the world as, you know, it showed up earlier this year and it was wild right here in Korea, and then it started to show up more and more across the regions, but it just brings so much flavor here directly from these two teams.
Yeah, that was just one cheese game. Even though Ballistix took the entire series, Gen.G had the wild Abathur Summer Tracer Karazim, and they just stopped them going back from Harding back home, and they just pushed all the way with all the clones. That did happen. It was one game. But Ballistix, even after that one game, they did not falter, and they just kept on going. They won the series, so that's kind of the strategy that we've seen. But that was the day that Noblesse was sick, so they were able to do whatever they wanted to do. And he's here today, so I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to keep you waiting any longer here. Sky Temple is going to be the draft. Gen.G up against Ballistix. Kick things off. I don't think we're going to see ourselves letting a Gen.G through this draft phase, especially considering Sky Temple and the prowess that both these teams have. But Jimmy Rayner is the first focus there for Gen.G.
You know, we get the Gen.G follow-up, and I really wonder if Gen.G will target maybe that backline, maybe look at something like a Phoenix here. Instead, it's going to be Deckard, and I'm really curious with the opening Jim Rayner ban. That was when we started to see Gen.G. They were under pressure during that triple ban phase when it first came in, Jim Rayner. So the adaptation was not quick for Gen.G during that week number 4 of league play, but still very strong hero. It always makes me wonder, obviously the Phoenix priority is very heavily in favor for both of these teams. And then if Phoenix isn't part of the equation, does Tracer come out despite her nerfs?
One thing I did want to bring up a little bit before we get too far into this draft as well is the fact that Ballistix is in fact the second pick here. And for anybody at home who doesn't know, that means that they are the Battleground selector. They have actually only selected the Battleground once so far, only have 2 games played throughout all of Phase 2 for Korea. Whereas when we look at the inverse side there, Gen.G, 4 selections for themselves, 5 games in total. So maybe an attempt to get a draft priority adjustment for Ballistix, I feel like, here by selecting this Battleground.
It is also because Gen.G, if they win the first game, they want to snowball that before we go into something like a commercial break or a break in the middle after the game too. They just want to have that Sky Temple game too. I think Ballistix wants to actually have that around, so they chose the map in the case is game 1, so they want to have the control from the beginning before Gen.G takes anything away from them.
Love to be able to see that level of mind games here, kind of coming in through the two teams. A garage selection there for Hooligan on Sky Temple. They do pick up the Phoenix, so, you know, kind of cutting away and get that damage out. Rayner's not going to be there poking and prodding on the other side. But I do have, you know, kind of concerns here on whether or not he's going to have the impact for the team, which we know at LAN to perform, Ballistix need Hooligan to be able to step up.
For Gen.G, if it is rich on that Hanzo, which it generally is, the numbers he puts out are higher than anybody in the world. The amount of damage that he can put out in a short period of time, it doesn't come without some risk, though, that he does like to go. We know Rich likes to be the playmaker, but he has so much protection between the Diablo, a diving Karazim to support that style of play. So look for Rich to make plays, especially around trying to find those walls, find those angles, get into those positions. So we'll see how those plays are made. Junkrat being banned out. We know one thing that Gen.G loves to do, they love to have that Junkrat in that solo lane take care, and then they use the solo lane, and then they aggress towards that solo laner in the top lane or the bottom lane and try and get picks behind walls with the remaining complement.
And with the False ban, this is basically calling for a Tychus from SDE. It's basically calling out, we have the Diablo. I know you love to play Tychus, and False was your other option. Banning that out basically means we're ready for that Tychus. SDE might just fall into the trap, or he may actually pull that out and just be the one on top of everything else.
Really glad that you brought that up, because when I saw that, I originally go, you know, Gen.G's worried about the macro wave clear control that might be able to happen if this game does snowball out of control, and I expected to see that there within the 4-5, but that's a great point you bring up, kind of limiting that of SDE, a player, when looking throughout his history, I feel like was kind of a lot of people looking at and questioning, can he play this many heroes? As time's gone on, he's proven very much he is a name to keep track of here.
I think Li Ming will be one to consider for him in the end of that draft, but first Gen.G, obviously their last 2 picks. Where do we get Reset in all of this? Where do we get that type of damage? And the follow-up instead, they're going to get Li Ming. I think that's a denial towards SDE. They obviously get a strong solo laner in Blaze, but that I think is a direct, obviously Reset is incredibly powerful on that hero, don't get me wrong, but then you start looking at SDE hero pools beyond that, and it does become more limited because you've banned the Falstad. You have a lot of those power picks out of the way. As you said, the Lunara has shown up, but this is Sky Temple. I don't think Lunara excels as well here. So for SD, I am very curious what we get.
And I love that rotation as well because it provides the synergy with Diablo, Karazim, and then having that Li Ming to sit back there and make sure she secures that first initiation of kill while also denying the opportunity for that possible bunker to come in and buy that bit of breathing room for Ballistix if they maybe ever would like to move in that avenue. But we do end up getting the SDE Tychus, as we talked about, with the Falstad and the Junkrat removed. It's going to be something that they have to pick up.
You know, G-Clef brought up an excellent point about that Tychus. I mean, in Phase 1, he almost played it to a fault. I mean, it was just so much Tychus. It's like, why not any other hero? And people did start to question. We asked him the other day, he's like, I didn't pick my hero. My team picked it for me. He's like, I want to play other things. He's like, but they made me play so much Tychus. And it is something I think that once that hero pool starts to get limited, the Falstad in particular could have been played on either side. Same for the Junkrat. And then you take all that out of the equation, the Li Ming denied, and now that does leave you with the one hero that we have seen you play the most this year, and Tychus, and I like it here. You have a lot to deal with it. You have the Neosteel coating at 13 to deal with potential blow-up burst damage, but the problem always will be your positioning and how aggressive you can be because you have that shorter auto attack range. So I think Relentless Soldier at 7 should be something that Tychus should consider to deal with the dive.
It was a really interesting draft how they actually banned towards the flex of the team. The Junkrat ban was against Reset, and Gen.G was also targeting SDE, the same flex in both teams. It was really great to see that, which doesn't really happen too much, but because they know each other so well, they're trying to just snipe those heroes out of the draft.
Can we just talk about how the fact that we have a Ballistix head Tychus coming out right there? That was beautiful artwork there, man.
They know the hero pools too.
Yes.
Absolutely, they very much do. But I mean, on a serious note here, G-Clef, is every Korean crowd as amazing as this one? Because it is ridiculous the amount of support that we've seen for these teams.
It is always better. It always gets better every single time, every single year.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to wait any longer here as we do, in fact, have Game 1. Gen.G going up against Ballistix on Sky Temple.
Wiki, wiki. We've got Gen.G, the hometown favorites here in Korea. They're going to be on the left in blue. You know the names, you know the faces. We're going to see if they can come out here and get a victory right out of the gate. It's going to be Sake on Karazim, Reset on Li Ming, Rich on Hanzo, Kyocha on Blaze, and Tisk leading the front line on the Diablo.
And in red here is going to be Ballistix, where we have Magi on that Stukov, SDE on his Tychus, Jungha on that Urel. Got those assets coming away, or going away, excuse me. We do have Hooligan moving over to that Garrosh. And last up was SC, in fact, on that Phoenixes with Pause coming through here.
We even have ballistic glow sticks.
I mean, we don't mess around. And when I say we, I mean this crowd. I don't know why I'm taking credit for the greatness that they have, in fact, provided here. But I am just in absolute awe of the support here for the Korean players. And, you know, understandably so with how amazing each and every one of those 10 members on the stage are here.
If you got a color for yourself for a glow stick, what color would yours be?
That's a good question. Probably purple. It's my favorite color.
I can dig it. Well, you know, obviously, and we're trying to get something squared away really quickly. I imagine that maybe some hotkeys, minor issue. Yeah. We'll hopefully have this resolved quickly. But, you know, coming back to things, we'll see. I think we are ready to go back in, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're ready.
I believe I got the cue here as we're getting things going. My goodness, it just does not stop there. Look at that Decker.
I think we're ready to go into the game.
Here we are.
There we go.
Let's go. 14 seconds deep, but I'm ready for it. So far, not too interesting of a kind of approach to the laning situation. So far, with Ballistix, just minor advantage there. Onto the eye control. Actually, so much so Blaze might have to second guess his positioning on the top half. That was a really good rotation. Not going to threaten to kill anything, but it's a, you know, small advantage there for Ballistix on that top half.
Yeah, with these setups, I'm really curious the way that Gen.G, the way the draft unfolded, how they're going to approach it. They love to manipulate the night camps on several maps, soften up those lanes, see if they can get some kills behind that. But more importantly, during that first Temple phase, as we started to see more and more metas evolve around that, it was a matter of get that top lane push and then get that first fort of the game, which nets you more overall experience. Reset, nice blink.
Yeah, great
right
job. And
outside of
punishment
that.
coming in on it. Hooligan, look at that shadow charge coming through along with the flip over. Hooligan trying to kite out. He will. The responsive damage going on to Tis in first blood here for Ballistix.
Diablo's like, hold on, wait a minute, I don't have souls, but you can see SDE coming in. You wonder why they're so powerful on this hero, but SCSC using that plasma cutter and a follow-up, he's warping forward into that bush. They will look for another invade here. Ballistix coming out. Dreadnought, when I saw Ballistix at Gen.G during their MVP Black Days, in their heyday, the best thing that I ever saw Ballistix do was to just go to Sky Temple and take the fight to Gen.G.
Talking about bringing the fight, Sake looking to make that happen. SD actually getting a warp over. Scatter's going to hit him very low. Will Gen.G actually aggress any farther? End up surviving there, but my goodness, Ballistix, the confidence, the control that they are displaying so far here in this first game, I feel like this is going to be, I dare I say, maybe better than the last series so far.
One can only hope, and I don't think we can expect too much worse or better because that first one was insane, and these teams know how to put on a show, so we'll see how this unfolds. But for Ballistix to start out with first blood, get the invade early in the game, and this is one way to make a statement right out of the gate. So for them, that disrupts. Gen.G is, you know, we have certain teams, they ramp up fast, and then certain teams that ramp up slow. The only problem is Gen.G is one of the few teams that ever ramps up fast. And so Gen.G, to disrupt their early momentum in this way, does force them into an adaptation period. They are incredible at any form, any realm of the game, but clearly that takes away one of their strongest traits.
And I think the tempo is a very important thing that you do bring up. You know, Gen.G is one of those ones that's very, very fast in their way to approach. Hold on there with that kind of skirmish down below. But Ballistix, if we look at the tempo and cadence of that they performed yesterday, it seemed like they were just in control, waiting, and then they just go, all right, we are going to end this game here. And I feel like that might be something we look for once again. But so far with the first blood, they are starting off things right here. Both teams timing out the night camp perfectly when coming to these temple spawn. We'll see who ends up getting most of these shots.
Yeah, the amount of value that you get if you can get that top lane push, it's something that we see a lot in North America and Europe, but here they're going to have that control. The solo laners will hold there for the moment. The most important thing right now is Gen.G holding control of that vision does give them that rotational control if they want to try and sneak around. And right now, Ballistix able to bully them off the mid-temple as Li Ming starting to make her way up. We'll see how this unfolds.
Looking to make her way into things as Urel and Blaze kind of slapping one another towards that top. Rich trying to poke and prod there. He's actually going to get that groundbreaker. Tist not willing to pull the trigger yet when it comes to the shadow charge.
Well, we can see who won that top battle. Urel, she's pretty strong, I hear, but that does give Gen.G an opportunity to move forward as they come in. Level 7 clearly in favor of Ballistix if they can get another structure down, but as more and more starts to fall here, look for Gen.G to try and take this fight. Right now, Ballistix, they're looking to hold point as Hooligan and Tist, the standoff there between the tanks. Who's willing to come in first? It's going to be Hooligan as he gets the flip back.
Flip over, but a lot of damage onto Hooligan as well. SDE not able to knock it down there with that minigun and passive use. The rest of the shots now are going to be collected here by Gen.G. A pretty successful first temple phase here for Gen.G.
Well, Urel comes down and says, hold on a second, I can hold on to this point. I also got a big old hammer, and there's some grenades. There's going to be the follow-up as we see Magi making plays there on Stukov, continuing to put the lurking arm down, but the weighted pustule and everything. That's going to be Diablo falling again. Dreadnought, only 34 souls still, but post-level 4, it does get easier, but for early Diablo, it's no easy task to survive in these moments.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, here that we do highlight that that is not only an early game Diablo problem as much as it is a Tychus post 4 problem.
Yeah.
SDE on the Tychus has the opportunity to rip through those health bars as long as we do end up seeing that minigun usage. Anytime you see that thing turn red, that means get away as fast as you possibly can there for Tist. And so it's going to be cool to see, do we see adjustments for that throughout this game? Do we see Tist maybe second-guessing that? Because you noted he never initiated one shadow charge throughout the entirety of that temple.
Just way too early, way too risky. Ends up finding himself on the bad end of things twice, though. Gen.G, they're going in forward. Hooligan gets the flip over. The heels get passed out. Seeing if Magi can maybe land that weighted pustule as he also activates the bio kill switch.
Urel is making the rotation far faster than Blaze. If they end up stalling this out any longer, Lurking Arm goes down along with the two-man groundbreaker. They're not going to make it out here. Urel leaps in. Karzim's going to be the first to drop. Hooligan flips over Tist. Shadow charge out, but Tist is going to be going down 2 for 0 so far here for Ballistix. Boss is prop. Look at that warp!
SC goes in, but Reset says, hold up, wait a minute, I've got Calamity. Ends up getting the trade out there. Still a 2 for 1 in favor of Ballistix, but SC is feeling himself after those early fights, but might dial it back a notch or 10 after that one.
Reset was just like, all right, okay, I get what you're thinking here, but not today. Still going to be the reigning world champions here. and showing the dominance that they have. We have 20 seconds out, but the experience advantage for Ballistix here, Jay-How, I mean, is something that Gen.G is very much going to be concerned with, and it's going to force them to make some kind of interesting decisions over these next couple of seconds and finds ways to recover what seems like about 1/3 of a deficit on the race to 10.
Yeah, Test, there's really not a lot he can do. He can scout out, see what's going on there. Blaze still on the top lane. You've got 2 members here in the middle trying to get that XP, but the only XP that they can really get, they've got to be careful. Here we go, Hooligan, can he make the play? There's the dismount, the blink out. Nicely done there by Reset to get the dismount and the blink out just in time. But 10 picked up here for Ballistix. Gen.G, see if they'll look to get 10 and maybe pick a fight down in the bottom lane.
And normally when you see that big of a 10 advantage and a force on a gank like that from Ballistix, you come with the trade-off of losing some of the shots on bottom, but they did a great job actually holding their own on bottom. And we actually get ourselves the Draken Laser going to be thrown down here by Tychus. So much single target DPS. Diablo has to second guess every initiation now, Jay-How.
I don't know the last time I've seen this at this level of play, but here we go. There's going to be Indomitable use. The knock up there, already the Ardent Defender. Here comes the drill as the Lurking Arm locks down multiple members.
Rich?
Reset, he's targeted. He's going to be the first to fall. Now we've got the bunker in place, seeing if they can hold.
Rich is able to get the natural agility away. Hooligan now in a bad spot, flipping over. 7-sided strike goes down along with the Dragon Zero. Jet Propulsion locking down 3 members of Ballistix. Lightning Breath zoning out the rest, but look at this. Young-Ha leaps out and holds his own. SC with the warp. Everybody on Ballistix survives for a little bit there, but Magi ends up dropping Hooligan. Can he make it out? Tis actually gets thrown over the wall, but he will end up focusing the sidewall, maybe able to survive. Young-Ha coming in with that damage. SC not able to get the auto.
Oh, the charge out!
What is going on?
Kyocha comes in, gets the trade out there on that, and we're going to see the continued fight here as we see the Indomitable use with Sake making more and more plays. The warp out just in time. SC able to survive the scatter arrow. Almost gets the takedown, and SC hits him with the spray as he dodges the Sonic arrow and says, not today, Rich.
Oh, for a second there, Reset was just a fraction of an inch possibly away to be able to get that without Disintegrate, though, going with the Wave of Force. Just barely out of range for that Reset on top of SC.
Dread.
Oh my goodness here, Jay-How.
Sake dashing in just when you think he's one place. He's like, now you see me even closer, because he is making plays, confirming some of these kills. It's the Korean style, the Karazim, being able to execute, get those plays, and in the right moments. The dive over he had on the Magi, things of that nature are just incredible to watch here as Gen.G and Ballistix just have the back and forth. 10 kills here in the first 9 minutes.
The structure advantage still significantly in favor of Gen.G, and after those couple of trades, they find themselves with the experience advantage as well. So Ballistix needs to find a way to be able to regain control, again, when looking towards the rest of the battleground here. Boss is one of those areas where normally you might look to be able to make that happen, but I can't help but feel like boss control pretty much heavily follows in favor of Gen.G. With the Lightning Breath, Bunker, Dragon Zero, Wave of Force, every single one of those, even 7-sided, is very difficult to stand on top of a point of and hold your own against.
You know, the more I think about the Tychus build, the more intrigued I am, because he did go in the Rhythm, which is a stacking talent. When you're in the Odin, well, there's no real, you know, minigun going off there. So I guess if you're going to stack that up for a long period of time, then Draken's one way to make sure that you can continue to use that without having to worry, like, do I need to cancel this? Do I need to do this? So you get maximum value everywhere around. I don't see it that often. We'll see how it plays out. But Gen.G, with the help of a Hanzo, they're ripping a boss, and they are doing it quickly.
Yeah, no way that Ballistix is going to be able to make the rotation down. Sonic Arrow zoning out Hooligan just enough time there to pick up the boss, and timed greatly here by Gen.G. Now somebody on Ballistix has to be able to deal with that boss, but they're so worried about some of these shots. And it's going to go all the way to the key front wall. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, those Giants will not track down and get the peel that necessarily Ballistix wants for their own. So this is a very high risk, I'm going to say mid-tier reward situation for Ballistix. And they end up retreating.
Yeah, I think they have to at this point. Obviously, a boss becomes incredibly powerful when you have the minion wave behind it, so they could afford to give up just a minor amount of that push. Instead, they will drop back and defend. They do have lane and vision control still by way of those Siege Giants, but only momentarily. So they'll have to anchor here, keep an eye on things as they keep Yrel on point.
But with Phoenix displaying towards the boss, that means that Gen.G can make a 4 vs 4 rotation down below and make it pretty easily and confidently. Phoenix now has made his way over. SE will end up getting out of fog here and show that this is not going to be the rotation that they want. But because Gen.G has controlled so much on top, they can make the cycle down and force this 5 vs 5. Well, again, fighting over a shrine in a temple that they want.
Here comes Blaze. He's coming down to join the fight. They might get the 5-on fight that they are looking for. Gen.G, they're coming in. They are not afraid to take this. Jongha sitting on his leap, waiting sure, but there's going to be the root. There's going to be the follow-up. The Diablo, he's going to get taunted back in. That's going to be a takedown onto Diablo.
And the first kill here of the skirmish, Ballistix just ripping apart Diablo. He will come back to life, but Kyocha getting a massive shove into the corner. Jongha trying to track it down. There's no way that Kyocha will end up surviving this. And Tis so far away from being able to join into this skirmish. Ballistix take off the 2 kills, the rest of those shots, and finding a way to gain that control that I was asking them to find a couple minutes ago.
Magi straight making plays this game, Dreadnought. I mean, that's not something we... Look, Magi is a great player, a fantastic world-class player, but normally there's just so much coordination, the lead-in from Hooligan, but it seems when you have a Stukov, hey, look, you become a playmaker instantly when you lock in this hero. Magi is living up to the task of saying, look, I'm getting the lockdowns, I'm getting the kills. Guys, just follow my lead, and Hooligan walked right in, that taunt directly after. It was beautifully set up against a stacked Diablo.
Yeah, and as you said, it's been through, kind of all stages. That's not just the Magi making the play post-13. Think about the first Temple phase.
Yeah.
That was the 2-man lurking arm into the 2-man groundbreaker that won the skirmish. It was the opening trade for Ballistix, and I completely agree with you. I mean, we know Magi to be a world-class player, but if I was to raise a high, maybe a weak point, the kind of weakest link of Ballistix, he, more often than not, is the name that comes to my mind. So stepping up here for the squad when it absolutely matters against a rival like Gen.G.
Well, the best of 5 is sure to have several playmaking moments, but right now we have a moment of calm before the storm that will be coming. That boss obviously still off cooldown as we hit the next Temple phase, which will be top and mid. In the experience, only a minor lead here for Gen.G as both teams will be on the even talent tier as we head into the next Temple phase.
No Blaze being displayed on the battleground, so Ballistix doesn't know whether or not they can fully commit to that skirmish. Very smart play there. Blaze shows on that bottom lane. That is an easy dive, even without the 16, to try and make something happen, or at least be a bit more confident to force the hand of Gen.G. Now Blaze ridding of the Giants. Hooligan and friends with the 16, questioning if they want to make something happen, but instead back out looking towards the Knights. And this is all about eye control here, J-How. With top and middle being the focus, both teams with 16. Whoever controls vision, more often than not, controls this game.
Well, Dread, let's dive deeper into the point you made earlier about that single target focus onto the Diablo. We now have Titan Grenade from Tychus, which gives you that percentage-based damage. Oh, by the way, Urel's going hammer,
Hooligan
getting that extra damage. Hooligan comes in for the flank, and Domino will use 7-sided strike. That's going to be an instant blow-up. There's going to be some value there as he gets exploded, sent flying. There's going to be another flip. The Draken Laser Drill is down, but it's going to go down as the Lightning Breath is there. Magi creates a little bit of space, given the stiff arm. Jongha trying to survive, but now in comes the onslaught.
Yeah, 2 kills there immediately. Reset trying to find another one there for the squad. Magi, without hitting the weighted push with the silence play, not going to be an opportunity. SC, though,
Rich will go after this.
Yeah, he was limiting the damage done in that type of situation, understanding they were not going to win the fight, trying to remove a lot of those. But yeah, this is SC going to down almost inevitably here as Tis now looking to join in. Honestly, the faster SC dies, the better.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where, hey, you just need to die. I don't know if you needed to try and trade out because there was almost no way. But the minute Rich sees blood in the water, he is going to chase. And that right there, SC, got some channel value mid, but now, as you said, maybe should have died quicker. You look at the staggered death timers, Urel only 3 seconds away, but it's that Phoenix that's so crucial to all of this as he's still 25 seconds out.
And I think the important thing to highlight is actually that decision by SC is a winning decision as long as he has somebody be able to backdoor top in the downtime. Stalling as long as you can was a victory, but he was losing shots on mid, he was losing shots on top, and he was more importantly setting himself time